everybody. Welcome to the Cryptid Quest Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Perry, and I got my buddy Dirty over there, my producer. And tonight we're going to be talking to Joey, the UfoMagnet George, and he's got some really great tales about fairies, UFOs, aliens, ghosts, and everything in between. So join us tonight on the Cryptid Quest Podcast. I want to welcome our guest tonight, Joey, the UfoMagnet George, and he's got some really cool stuff to tell us about. I know you told us you have hundreds of stories, and I want to hear about them. We want to hear about them. So I'm gonna give the stage to you.
All right, before I start, I want to give a shout out to my production team, Josh Holtz, among others, Big Red. The rest of you know who you are. But yeah, my name's Joey. They call me the UfoMagnet for very good reasons. These things seem to follow me around everywhere I go, and they always have since I was a child. Not just UFOs, but spirits, name it, man. I heard you talking on one of your older episodes about the Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh yeah.
I am the Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh no.
I'm like a miniaturized version of it walking around. There's quite a few strange things that happen around me. I'm still fighting to figure out the reasons for that, but.
All right. So what kind of strange things you talking about? Are they? I mean, I know you said ghost, paranormal, UFO.
Talking geese.
Yeah.
Fairies.
So where do you want to start? Yeah. Oh yeah. The fairies is one thing that really intrigued me. But I'm gonna let you lay it out how you want to lay it out. Where you want to start? You go with it, brother.
Talk about the fairies. I actually had a couple run-ins with them. The first time was the bitter encounter. I was right up face to face with this thing. It happened in my grandfather's lake house in Wagner, Oklahoma. It was 4th of July weekend, and he had a bunch of people over, my aunts and uncles and everybody over there out fishing and, partying on the boat and stuff. And me and my girlfriend at the time had gone down. Everyone had gone in for the night to lay down or whatever. And we went down. I was doing some arrowhead hunting down by the shore. And she alerted me to something that was flying around this light in the parking lot. And so I made my way over there. And at the time, I wasn't a real big, fairy guy, you know what I mean? I'd seen a lot of things, but it wasn't like, oh, there's fairies, you know? And so I walk up, and I just happened to, the day before that, to be watching YouTube and came across some fairy videos. And I was like, it's pretty interesting, I don't know how much of that to believe, but as soon as I walked up and stood next to her and saw this thing, the first thing out of my mouth, you can hear it on the YouTube channel. I have that video on there. It's a fairy,
Yeah.
And I sent you that video, I think.
Yeah. We'll post it to the link because I actually think I already posted it to the page and got some really good responses on it.
Yeah, do whatever you want with it. Get it out there. It's for everyone to enjoy. But so automatically I see this thing, and people always want to argue it's a bat or a big moth, which there's a lot of pretty huge insects around Oklahoma in the summertime, But this thing flew like nothing else I've ever seen fly, and at one point it stopped and went behind the light where I couldn't see it, and it poked its head up above the top. It just peeked at me.
Yeah.
And then it went back behind it, disappeared again, and then it peeked its head out the bottom. And I was like, oh, this is playing with me now. So I was like, yeah, that's not a bat for sure. And it started flying around. At one point, it even imitated the coils running up to the pole, the power line, which I'd seen in some of those videos I watched on YouTube, how that's how they look when they're flying, almost like a spiral,
Yeah. So, I know what you're talking about.
And then it finally landed on the pole, and I was, face to face with it 3 to 4 feet away, and it was like a little human, and it just sat there let us observe it. And finally we got to the point where we just turned around and walked away. We're like, okay, we'll leave this thing alone. This is freaky, We'll leave it alone. We went up to the house. So we went back up there and went to bed, and the next morning, and my grandfather, whose house we were at, this is a guy who he's not my natural grandfather, but he raised me as my grandfather. You know what I mean? This is a guy who put me to work. He owned a construction company. He taught me how to roof. He taught me basically how to not be a pussy my whole life. And I had come to him with this fairy story the next morning when he gets up. This is not a conversation I ever expected to have with my grandfather, He reacted about the way I expected him to. He was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah.
But it was an interesting encounter, one I'll definitely never forget. I did have a couple other encounters, but it was just with security camera footage that I caught 2 of them on. And I caught them a couple of times on my security camera, but it wasn't like that first encounter for sure.
Well, yeah. So the first encounter, that was just all up close and personal.
Yeah.
You didn't get video of that? It was
that's the video that I sent you.
Oh, okay.
The video that's green. The reason it's all green in that video is because I had a filter. I filmed it on my phone.
Okay.
Like a nighttime filter that I had going.
Yeah, that's so cool.
But that thing actually was green itself too.
Oh, really? Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was just like Tinkerbell.
Yeah, well, no, that's what that color she is. So, how many fairy encounters have you had?
That was the only encounter. The other ones, like I said, were only on security camera footage. That I caught
okay. So that was the only personal one you had?
Yeah, that's the time.
Okay.
Yeah, things like that don't seem to be shy around me, and it's strange the amount of curiosities that I've actually filmed. Normally people have a story, but they don't ever have any proof behind it. You know what I mean? Or it's so blurry or whatever, you can't even tell anything. But for some reason around me, they lose all their inhibitions and let me film them.
Well, consider yourself lucky, I guess.
Not many people can say that. So
No, yeah, I've never ever had a fairy encounter, but I've seen the videos and they're compelling. They're very compelling. I enjoyed it, and thank you for sharing. And like I said, we'll add it on to the video. So next, UfoMagnet. Come on, man, you got to have some good UFO stories. Let's hear them.
Oh yeah, that name actually is a funny story. My friend, who's also a paranormal investigator, Darren Evans, gave me that name in 2019, right before an event that we did in Las Vegas called Cosmic Invocation, and which was produced by him and Joshua P. Warren. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not.
I've heard the name. I have.
Yeah, he's pretty big name paranormal investigator. Darren was living in Vegas at the time. He's from Tulsa, where I'm from, but he had moved out to Vegas, and I guess Joshua Warren had moved out to Vegas too, and they've both been on ghost adventures together and stuff like that. And so I guess they were sitting around one day talking, and I'd been sending Darren all these videos of these UFOs that I was catching. And so I guess they got to talking about that, and then they dreamed up this event right there on the spot, and it came to fruition. But yeah, he had me come out there, and he put 12 tickets for sale for $200 a piece. And I was like, man, $200 a piece.
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of high, but it was anyway, whatever. The tickets sold though, and we had an actual employee, NASA employee from the Jet Propulsion Lab, who was a ticket holder, and several other people who drove from far away, Colorado and all over the place to see this thing. And Fox News Vegas was out there, and it's a pretty good event. Darren did some Ouija board stuff, that's what he's known for, is the Zozo.
Those scare me.
Yeah, I don't mess with them myself. Yeah. So while he was doing his thing, we were trying to recreate an experiment that this guy back in the 50s had done, where he claimed he could communicate with, UFOs or these beings with the Ouija board. And he claimed to be in regular communication with 3 of them, regularly. And I'm trying to think of his name. It's George something. I can't recall his last name, but so Darren did his Ouija board thing over here while I did my, telepathic brainwave thing, to call them in like I do. And we got some pretty interesting results, both of us. me using just the power of my mind and him doing the Ouija board with several other different people on it with him. We definitely made contact with things that I would see with my eyes while they were on the board. They were communicating with them. They were telling me where to look when I'd already have one lined up. I'm already watching something flying out of the west, and the Ouija board would spell out west. And it was kind of funny. Like when we first got going with the whole event, they had the Ouija board set up and everything. And as soon as they get on it, it goes to G, right? And I'm sitting there from afar, kind of watching what's going on. Then it goes to I. It's spelled GI. Then the planet stopped, and we're like, "What the hell is GI? Gastrointestinal? What is that about?" And
GI Joe.
One of the Fox camera guys who was filming at the time put his hand up, and he was like, "That's me." He was an Asian, and his name was Guy.
Oh wow!
So like right off the bat, we got like confirmation that it was working.
That's so cool.
And it just went on from there.
So question. So when you communicate with them, you just totally use your mind.
Yeah, it's all fantastic. A lot of times I get an urge to just go outside, and there they'll be.
That's really cool because I actually, I watch a lot of different shows and stuff, and there was one where the guy was said, "Hey, blink," and the dang thing blinked as he was taking a video of it up in the sky. Have you had any results like that?
Yeah, they'll definitely communicate with you if you can say it out loud or whatever. You can ask them questions sometimes, and they'll flash green for yes, red for no. They're pretty giving.
So, what's your best UFO encounter or experience? Or you can give me more than one. I mean,
I have a pretty good top 10 list. Number one.
Let's hear 'em.
Is probably going to remain number one.
Yeah.
As far as my best encounters, this happened in about 2017. I was upstairs in my spare bedroom in a town called Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, and I had been just not long before that been reawakened to the whole UFO thing. Like I've seen them since I was a kid, but during the whole middle part of my life, through my whole 20s, I didn't think about it anymore for some reason. It's almost like I was brainwashed out of recognizing any kind of action of that type, ghostly or stuff in the sky. But it took this girl I was dating to reopen my eyes to it. She used to come in the house and she'd be all mad. I thought I did something wrong, and be like, what's wrong, and she'd be like, I'm sick and tired of this star following me around. It's just crazy shit like that. And I'm like, what? And then it started happening to me. And it all started flooding back. I was like, oh my God, how did I not pay attention to this stuff for so long? It's always been like a huge part of my life, but then there was that area where it just disappeared from my thoughts. And so she awakened me to the whole thing, and I got obsessed with it. Like I would sit there at that window upstairs all night filming things, just the craziest shit. And it would go on as long as I would watch. And so this one night in particular, I'd been up all night, staring out the window, and the sun had come up. It was about 9:30 in the morning. And I'm looking off in the distance. I could see the tree line way off, 12 miles away or whatever. And this white light appeared right above the tree line as far away as I could see. And it started to slowly make its way towards me, getting bigger and bigger by the second. And as it got closer, it started to take a shape. It was just a white light, and then it started to have some form to it. And I couldn't tell you exactly how long of a period this was. It seemed like forever, as it's coming towards me. And it's getting closer and taking more shape. And the closer it got, I realized that the sky was completely blacked out behind this thing, as far as you could see to the west and as far as you could see to the east. And as far up as you can, just a wall of black churning something. And it gets closer and closer until it was like within a couple miles of me. And by the time it got that close, it was, I'd say, about 3 football fields tall, about 2 wide. and I realized that the sea of black behind it was all blackbirds following this thing. It's always hard for me to explain what this thing looked like because I don't really know of any words
Yeah.
available
No, I got
to
you.
the English language to really describe what I saw. Closest I can get is it's kind of like a cross between a bird, like a jellyfish, and maybe an octopus and SpongeBob.
Oh wow. Oh wow. I love SpongeBob.
That's as close as I can get
But
to
I don't think
explaining.
I'd want to see
It,
SpongeBob coming at me in the
it
sky
was
with the
crazy,
jellyfish
and it
attached.
has like these tentacles, and it was crazy.
Well, I've heard a lot of stories about like, man, people have been catching videos of biological. They think they're biological creatures up in the sky,
It's like sky
and
jellyfish and stuff.
yeah, kind of like a sky jellyfish. 100%, what I'm talking about. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of people that believe that they're up there. They're up there. So, I have no doubt that you saw what you saw.
The
Um,
very next day, of course, my girlfriend was in the bathroom in the room right next to me, and I'm screaming at her, the whole time, get in here, get in here. And she took her sweet time, and by the time she finally came in there, this thing had turned. It's within like a mile of me, like hanging right over the highway. And I'm thinking, it's 9:30 in the morning, like rush hour, right over a main highway. I'm like, how many people are pulled over on the side of the road watching this thing? This is huge, you know what I mean?
yeah.
And come to find out, not a damn one of them saw it. It was
Oh, wow.
only meant for me, apparently, because it had turned to the west, and I'll never forget how it swayed its like tentacle things, when it turned, and it started fading off to the west, all this sea of blackbirds following it. And it was almost out of sight off in the distance, but it was still very visible to me. It's about the size of my hand, at this point, off in
Yeah.
the distance west. She finally came in, and she couldn't see it. And right before that thing appeared, my phone had just died, and I had gone downstairs to plug in both of the phones. I had two phones going recording this stuff, and both of them had died. And I just put them both on the charger when this thing appeared. So it was like it knew that I wouldn't be able to get evidence of it. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, so do you think it had the ability to drain the powers of your phone to where you
Sure.
couldn't record it?
I'm sure it could have, yeah, because I've had that happen hundreds of times, I've had videos disappear off of my hard drives, off of my cameras. Yeah, I can come off a fresh charge, a new set of batteries and go outside and it'll shut it down instantly sometimes. But so I mean, she said she didn't see that thing, and I'm like, "What are you talking about? It's right there." How can you not see that? But so I didn't have any witness to that or any evidence. But the very next day, I had 3 friends over, and I had them up in that room, and I'm pointing out the window, telling them this story, and I'm pointing exactly to where the dot appeared, and I'm like, it kind of looked like. And then I looked where I was pointing. I said, it kind of looked exactly like that. It was there again. It appeared
Holy
again
cow.
right there in front of 3 other people this time. And it was coming towards me, but this time it seemed like it was a lot faster. So it took maybe half the time it did the day before. It seemed like, a good 7-8 minutes the first time. And this time it was like within 2, and it's getting closer and closer. I realized by the time that I realized it's like almost there, it's not turning into that huge thing. It's about to hit me. So I'm like bracing for impact. I'm thinking it's going to slam into me. And right when it got about, 20 yards away, I could see it was a white bird. It was like a crane. And it got to literally 2 feet in front of my face from hitting me through that open window, and it curved up and went over the roof.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So,
That had to have been scary.
yeah, it was something.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that was the same thing. You know what I mean? I think it just took on a different shape, and I think that that's something that I've had several disappearing crane encounters since then, where I had one instance where I had some MUFON investigators and state director for Oklahoma come out to Skywatch with me, and we encountered this disappearing crane that flew by us and just vanished into thin air.
Oh, wow.
So I'm guessing, I think that that's the same thing too, whatever it is. I don't know what exactly, but I think the same thing has followed me throughout my whole life and takes on these different shapes.
So, do you think Do you think it's alien? Do you think it's
Yeah.
maybe
It's,
something
it's,
from heaven? I mean, what's your take on it?
I think it's definitely, and I don't like to say the term alien because a whole other encounter that I had with, it's a whole other story, but
All right, well, we'll do
basically
that next. But tell
being
us this first.
the takeaway I got from this, from the story I'm talking about, is calling them alien is basically like calling them the N word. And they told me that beings is what they would rather be called. So
Okay, well, I
I,
got you.
I catch myself saying alien all the time still too, because that's what people know them by. But
Yeah,
it is definitely an ET based something or other. I'm not sure, interdimensional or ET, one of the two, maybe both. I'm not. I couldn't really tell. I'd be a fool to try and tell you that I knew what it was.
yeah. Well, there's something like that. It's hard to tell exactly where it's coming from.
Especially that crane, something that seems like it's flesh and blood just vanishes right in front of your eyes, and
Yeah,
everyone else is. It's hard to say, man.
yeah. So, well, that's pretty amazing. I mean, do you how much? So, how many UFO experiences have you had?
Oh God, thousands,
Oh, wow. So
thousands.
basically, almost every day.
I can go out almost any night, and if I look for them, then they usually show up.
Oh, wow.
And like I said, a lot of times I'll just get a feeling to go outside all of a sudden, and something will be there.
Yeah. Do you get like something in your mind that tells you, or you just like
It's
walk
the feeling's
out
kind of hard to explain. Like the feeling when you feel like someone's watching you.
100%?
Right. It's kind of a mixture of that and adrenaline. So,
So
it's hard to explain really, but
no,
it's kind of like a feeling of being watched plus, or like, have you ever had restless legs? Like if you took a certain medication or
yeah,
something,
yeah,
it's kind of like that too.
yeah.
Like
Okay,
an
okay.
anticipation, kind of like got to get up and
Anxiousness.
move. Anxious. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
To say the least. Yeah.
All right, all right. So, is there anything else you want to tell us on the UFO stage, or
What do you want to hear?
man, you like I said, it's your stage. We can go to
um,
UFO.
all right. Number 2 on my list then. Like I said, I got a pretty good top 10, but the
All
top
right.
3 are pretty amazing. Number 2 on that list would be, the classic triangle, the 3-star triangle that a lot of people claim to see.
Yeah, a lot of
I,
people.
I had never seen it before this time, but it was an overcast night, and it had been drizzly and raining in Tulsa for like 2 weeks straight. It was like the fall or something like that. And my girlfriend worked nights, and she got home. We were walking across the street to go to IHOP, and so we walk across the street. She gets onto the sidewalk. As soon as my foot hits the sidewalk on the other side of the road, I got that feeling to look up. So I look up, and beneath the cloud cover, which is no more than 10,000 feet, when it's overcast, there's the 3 stars right there. And it was close, really
Mm-hmm.
close, like, looked like maybe a football field high. And I'm really bad at elevation when people ask how far away these things were,
Yeah,
because
it's hard to judge.
in and out, seems
Yeah,
like 100 miles within a half a second. So it's
yeah.
really hard to judge distance and elevation for me. But it was close. And so I look up and I see that. And once again, I'm yelling at her, look at this thing, freaking out. And she wasn't even paying any attention. She kept walking. And I'm freaking out on the sidewalk. And this thing starts moving all together like it was one craft, And it did 5 zigzags. And the whole time it's zigzagging, it's throwing off these sparks. And but they didn't look like
Sparks?
fire. Yeah, it didn't
Oh,
look like
wow.
fire. It looked more like digital sparks or something. I don't
Huh.
know how else to say it, but it didn't look like fire sparks like fireworks would look like. It was more digital looking for some reason. I don't know. So it's throwing off these sparks. It does 5 zigzags, then spins around 3 times and shoots straight up through the clouds and was gone.
Oh,
And I'm
wow.
like, holy shit, freaking
Yeah,
out. And I
yeah,
look
yeah.
over, she's walking into the IHOP.
I think I'd be
So
freaking out too.
once again, she's there but doesn't see anything, which leads us into a whole nother area that I've always wondered about. Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, you think her mind just might not be
does she have
open?
something to Does she have something to do with it, or
Yeah.
You know?
Could be. Could be,
Hard to
man.
say. I've always wondered that. It's been a few years since me and her split up, but I wonder a lot of things ever since then that I've had more time to think about.
Yeah. I got you.
May never know.
Yeah. So that was that was number 2.
Right?
And give us number 3.
Had you ever had an experience? A
I
sighting?
have.
Have you? Let's
Yes.
hear
All
about
right.
yours.
So I'll go ahead and share it with you. So, I was working for a lady, actually a well-known lady, but I don't really want to drop her name, just
Right.
just because. But it was in the St. Louis area, and I was working on her house. I had a sighting crew that I was running, and she was a very, very well-known rich lady, and she had like a guy that handled everything for her. And he was out there one day. We're all putting siding on her house, and we're standing out back. Actually, I've had 2, but this is the major one that really freaked me out. And we're out back. We're on scaffolding, and at one point I look behind me or behind us, and I see what looks like a cube, and it's just spinning.
Oh, you saw the cube, huh?
It's spinning like this, and it's got 4 different colors on it. It's like, what was it? Silver, red, blue, green. Silver, red, blue, green. It was spinning about this fast. Not super fast, but it wasn't moving. And I saw it at first, and I was like, didn't think anything of it. Looked back about 5 minutes later, still there. And I'm like, I tell everybody else, I'm like, you guys seeing this? And her henchman, I'll call him, says, he turns around and he goes, that's just a Mylar balloon. And I'm like,
that's what they always say.
I'm like, but it hasn't moved. And so, and it's still, and like 5 minutes later, I look back, still there. 5 minutes later, I look back, still there. After about 20 minutes, all of a sudden, and this is up in the St. Louis, Missouri area.
A long time.
What's that?
That's a long time.
Yeah, it sat there for a long time in the same freaking spot.
I have a cube video on my YouTube channel too.
Oh, really?
Like you're talking about.
Oh, I have to check it out.
Quality, but I have seen the cube before, and I know several people that have. So it was always spinning fast.
Yeah, no, this thing was spinning slow. It was spinning real slow. And
how long ago was that?
And this was 1999, 2000. Wait, no, hold on. About 2005. I'm sorry, I got the year wrong. It's about 2005. It was after my first daughter was born, so about 2005, and all of a sudden we're still working.
They didn't see it though. They
saw it. They all saw it. But everybody laughed at me. And yeah, so the last thing was 2 fighter jets come shooting over the top of the house. I'm talking low, and they headed right in the direction of where I saw that thing. And I look back, and it's gone. And I looked at everybody else. I'm like, why the hell are 2 fighter jets flying over us right now if that was a Mylar balloon?
Yep.
They're like,
almost every single sighting, there's either a helicopter or 2 jets that appear.
It was 2 jets, 2 fighter jets from Edwardsville, Illinois Air Force Base. Come shooting over. And they said, well, we're right by the airport. I'm like, we've been working out here for 3 months. Fighter jets have not flown over this effing house. I'm like, something's up. But
I want to know what they think. I want to know what they think fighter jets are going to do to something like that.
Well, exactly. But it was gone. It got chased
except
off.
For scare it off. Except for scaring it off.
Left.
That's all they're going to do.
So, and the only other story I have is one night I was out running trot lines with people, and I'm looking up, and I see this, just a bright light, and it's cruising across the sky. And I'm watching it, and at first I'm like, maybe it's and it's just a single light. And I'm like, maybe it's a plane, maybe it's an asteroid, maybe it's something. But then I see it stop, come to a complete stop. and then start going back the other direction. And I'm hollering in the guys in the boat, and of course this time I was an idiot too. But they're like, I'm like, you guys seeing this? And they're all like, you're drunk, you're this, you're that. And I'm like, I'm telling you, man. I mean, I don't care what I've had to drink, you know. We're gigging, not gigging, but running trot lines. Of course,
Oh, yeah,
the night we've been drinking, but still, I'm not seeing things go do crazy shit. So one guy actually starts looking up and watching it with me, and it stopped. It went this way, stopped, and then went this way back again, and then disappeared. It was shooting across the skyline, going basically across the whole horizon. And
yeah, people always want to judge you and say, "Oh, you were just drunk, or you were on drugs, you were high, whatever it might be." That shit doesn't make you hallucinate. It opens you up to things more to allow you to see what's really there.
So
I'm not saying go out and do drugs, but
yeah, but hey, that was my two experiences. So
I get a lot of those just single lights, I mean, almost on a nightly basis if I go out looking for them. But the one that I always remember the most, it was right before the Cosmic Invocation event, and I'm going outside and every night just practicing. You know what I mean? Because I was still at the point where I was like, am I really doing this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all just coincidence, which there's no such thing as luck or coincidence. But I'm like, I'm still unsure of myself, and I'm supposed to be going in front of these people who paid $200 a ticket to see me pull UFOs out of the sky. I'm like, this is nuts. There's no way that I'm really doing this. So I was out there doubting myself, but still, it was still happening. I got to where I could call my shots. I was like, something's about to appear right here, and it would, and so one night, right, it was like 3 nights before we drove out to Vegas, there was these real low clouds flying by real fast, like zooming by like that quick. And me and my buddy watched this star-looking thing riding on the back of one of these clouds right over us, and it stops right at the handle of the Big Dipper and acted like it was part of the Big Dipper for like almost 2 hours, and then before it finally shot off.
Oh, wow.
It was like the fifth star in the Dipper,
Yeah, that's so cool.
That was pretty cool.
So, was that your third best one, or was that just a... Come on, give me your third best one before we go on to ghosts.
Let's see. I'm trying to remember what the third one would be, because I've got so many of them, man. Actually, I mean, this one's really should be right up there with number one. It's not really a craft sighting. It's more of a being sighting, I believe.
Even better.
But, yeah, it was... In my mind, I met something from another world this night, and I'm pretty sure that I have several times in my life. And, everyone's met somebody or come across someone that knew just wasn't quite right.
Yeah.
This is one of those nights. I was at the casino all day and all night at the time, and I met this girl up there, and we kind of hung out all day, and she was into beings, excuse me. This is where you'll find out where I get the beings thing from.
Okay.
But anyway, we're talking about that kind of stuff all day while we're gambling, and so it's like midnight. We're there almost 24 hours, and we're like, let's get the fuck out of here for a while. So we go, and we're driving down Riverside Drive, right next to the Arkansas River, and we pull over at one of the little rest areas, with the parks, and usually people that hang out there that time of night are shady or doing something they're probably not supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And so it's not like a place where there's a jogging trail right there along the river and stuff, but there's usually not people out there exercising at that time of night. They're usually doing something else, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But I personally don't know anyone. I would not myself go up to any random car that was parked there in the middle of the night, you know what I mean? And knock on the window and ask them what they're doing. But for some reason, we're sitting there and out of nowhere, and this is November, right? So it's pretty cold. It was like 40 something. I'm wearing a coat in my truck. So that gives you an idea of the temperature, it was pretty cold. And out of nowhere, this little young girl rolls up on one of those little Lime scooters, and she's wearing a red t-shirt, and it looked like no pants. The t-shirt hung down, and I was like, what the And she just appears out of nowhere. I didn't see her coming out of the corner of my eye. I didn't hear nothing. And she goes, "Hi, I was just wondering if you guys wanted to come and play with us." And I'm like, "What the hell?" And she had kind of long hair, but her bangs were like up to here.
Yeah.
You know? So automatically it's like, what's up with this girl? And it's freezing outside and she's wearing a t-shirt. And the girl that's with me, she asked, "Who's that with you? Your old man?" And I didn't realize there was anyone else, but I turned and looked, and behind us in the middle of the parking lot was this guy standing there on one of those scooters too, facing the opposite direction from us. So the first thing going through my head was like, they're trying to rob us or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she goes, "Is that your old man over there?" And the girl looks away and she says, "Well, my brother." And I'm like, who answers a question like that? Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there kind of watching this guy out of the corner of my eye. He never moves a muscle. It's like he's not even breathing. And she goes, "We were just wondering if you wanted to come and play with us." Like that cartoon, like with the bulldogs with the Spike and the little one. He's like, "Hey, Spike." He's all over him like a little kid, It reminded me of that. Like, she acted really puppy-ish. And that girl I was with snaps at her. She's like, "Maybe, but for right now, we're in the middle of a conversation which you so rudely interrupted about aliens and whether or not they're living among us." And this girl doesn't miss a beat. She goes from puppy to 1,000-year-old wise man like that. And she goes, "Well, the thing about that is that humans are always so quick to label everything. They have a label for everything they ever come across, when beings are all that we really are and what we prefer to be called."
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I'm starting to realize what's going on here,
Yeah.
And so I didn't realize it, but I've got my chin resting on my window watching this girl, And I tell myself to remember every detail of what's going on here because something significant is happening, And so there's a little break in the conversation. I got I'm resting my chin on my window, just staring at her, And finally I was like, "Are you wearing pants?" And she smiled real big and she lifted up her shirt. She had on the tiniest little black spandex shorts. I was like, "Are you freezing?" She goes, "No." Like, okay. And so she asked us again, "Do you want to come? You want to come and play with us?" And I'm like, "What the fuck does that mean?" And there was another pause, and I looked her in the eye and I said, "Where are you from? Are you from around here?" And she looked straight up at the sky for a good 7-8 seconds. She looks me in the eye and says, "Well, Glenpool," which is a town just south of where we were. And I was like, "Bullshit."
Yeah.
Straight up at the sky when I asked her that, "Where are you from?" "Well," Glenpool.
Maybe somebody was sending her a message. Hey, say this town.
I don't know, but I don't think she was from Glenpool.
No, probably not. Doesn't sound like it.
Says it one more time. "Well, if you guys want to come and play with us, and we'll be here for a little while." And she rolls off on her scooter around to the other guy, and they looked like they exchanged a couple words, and they rolled off. The bathroom was right in front of us. We're facing the river, and there's a bathroom building right there next to the jogging trail. So they go over the curb from the parking lot and disappear behind this building, and I'm waiting for them to either roll in front of us going to the left or away from us to the right on the path, and we never saw them again.
Oh, wow.
I didn't get out to go and look and see if they were behind the building or nothing, but right about that time we hear this car blowing down the road with its stereo cranked about a mile away, and it comes squealing into the parking lot where we're sitting. And the song that they had blaring was, I don't know who it is, it's a country song. It goes, "Where I come from." And so they squeal in, blaring that song, and park right behind us facing the road. And, that song blares for 30 seconds or so, then they whip it out of there and take off.
Oh, wow.
Really strange experience.
Yeah, that is strange.
But and that's where the biggest takeaway I got from that was, they don't like being called aliens. I just talked to one, I think.
Yeah. Well, you've been very well might have.
Alien. Yeah, like calling them alien was like calling them the N-word, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, later on I was thinking about it and what you said about the labels, humans are so quick to label everything. That's the difference between a telepathic and a non-telepathic society, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're a race of, that has telepathy, you don't need to label things. People already know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I got you. So, what kind of paranormal stuff you got? I'm into the paranormal too, and I know
I've
my
got,
audience is.
we got hundreds of orb videos. You know, I can hold out. I can turn on my camera, hold out my hand, and say, "Come to my hand," and an orb will shoot into it.
So, when the orbs come up, do you have any additional like experiences afterwards, or is it just the orb?
When I was a kid, I had a lot more ghost encounters. Seemed like it really started right after my uncle passed away when I was 9. I lived in San Antonio at the time, and he was in Dallas when he died in a motorcycle wreck. But it was almost immediately like shit started happening around the house. Like one time I remember was like more than anything. I think it's always stuck in my mind ever since it happened. But I was sitting in the bathtub. I was 9 years old. I'm just sitting there playing in the bathtub, whatever, and my towel is hanging on the towel rack over here, and it just starts going like this, just shaking, like someone had a hold of it.
Yeah.
And I sat there till that, I don't know how long it was before someone came up there. The water was ice cold, and someone finally came up wondering what the hell I was doing. But stuff like that would just happen on a regular basis, you know, and like the stereo would come on by itself back before they had remotes, you know what I mean? And stereo would come on, and it got to the point so much stuff was happening that I made this mental deal with whatever it was because I was terrified of that when I was a kid. You know, now I've grown to not be afraid of it because I understand it a little better. You know, but
Yeah.
I made this mental pact in my head. You know, with whatever it was, just don't ever let me see you because I don't think I could handle that. And it pretty much obliged. You know, for a while until I got older, and then I'd seen some shadow people that really tripped me out, and one of them actually grabbed a hold of my ankle, and that was when I was like, "Oh shit!" I didn't know they
Yeah.
could touch you. You know?
Yeah, that'll send you into a new stage of fear.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So have you
I don't like to talk about those too much though, because I don't like giving them energy.
no, I don't do that on my
But as
account.
far as we're going to go into the shadow people,
So
because I'm not bringing them
as
back.
far as when you started getting experiences, did the ghosts and the UFOs happen about the same time, or were they at different stages?
That's. I'm glad you asked that because you know, even me myself, I always put, you know, ghosts in this category and UFOs are way over here. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? UFOs happen strictly at night, which is not the case. I have most of my best sightings during broad daylight. You know?
yeah,
And the older I've gotten and the more experience I have and the more things I've dealt with, I've started to realize they're one and the same, man. It's all connected somehow. I couldn't tell you how, but
yeah, yeah,
I'm working every day to find out that answer.
yeah. So
But yeah,
well,
they definitely have a lot to do with each other, which most people don't ever think of them being the same thing. But I've grown to find that they are somehow.
so with the ghost, you mentioned the towel. Did you have any other experiences that where things moved around on you, or
Oh
did you ever see
yeah,
anything?
yeah. I never saw an actual ghost. If that's
Okay.
what you're. No, but yeah, like my mom doesn't like me to talk about her experiences. We both had them, you know.
Yeah.
She was a lot like me, and but she voiced that she didn't really like me to bring her up because she actually had to go to somebody to stop seeing things like that. And so I won't get into that. But, you know, when I was a kid, shit like that would happen so often that, like, there was one day in particular where I just woke her up with a cup of coffee and brought it to her in bed. You know, we were sitting there talking about the hell my little sisters put me through the night before while she was at work, you know. And I was sitting on the floor and she's laying on her waterbed, and this mirror candlestick holder that she had came off the wall and just hung there in midair and then smashed on the floor.
Oh
And
wow.
we watched that, and then a few seconds later went back to what we were talking about before it happened, and I cleaned it up later.
Yeah,
So, I mean, it just got so common that it was just like, you know, there
I
goes
know what
again.
you
You
mean.
know?
I know what you mean. Yeah, I've had a lot of experiences as far as stuff like that, and you get numb to it.
Yeah,
It's like if it happens so much, it's just like you're not worried about it anymore
Yeah, that's why it's
because
amazing that I was, for some reason, forgot about all that stuff through the whole middle part of my life. I don't know. I still don't understand how that was possible.
yeah. So man, oh man. And all right, so before we end this, I have to ask you about one more thing. I
Yeah,
really have to. I really have to. So
shoot.
you mentioned, I don't know if you want me to bring it up or not, and if you don't want me to,
Hey, anything's up.
we can exit out later. But I got to ask you about what you're talking about with the talking goose.
Oh, did you actually watch it?
No, I didn't. Did you send me the video?
Yeah, yeah. I sent you
Oh,
the short version of it.
oh, I need to check it out. Okay, well I will check it out. We'll put it on here
Yeah,
because I didn't
I
know.
can
I
tell you
didn't
that.
realize you sent it to me.
Yeah, I can tell you that story real quick though. It was,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah,
another broad daylight. I just moved into these apartments. Me and the same girl just
yeah.
moved into these apartments, and we were out back. There was like a drainage pond in the back. We were like the last row of buildings, and there was like just a storm runoff kind of pond back there. And we were sitting there, and she noticed some bullfrogs in the pond and yelled at me to come check it out. So I'm down there, and I just got a new phone that day, and I'd never had a phone up until that time that had slow motion camera on it. You know what I mean? So I'm
Slow
sitting there,
motion. Yeah.
yeah, poking these frogs with sticks and filming them in the slow motion camera, watching the water drop off. And these two geese land on the opposite side of the pond from us.
Yeah.
And I'm aware of them being there, but I'm not really paying any attention to them. Right? I'm focused on these frogs and stuff. And they swim up. They get about 10 feet away from you, and I hear hello. And she was behind me at the time, and no one else was out there. No one even came out there unless they were walking their dog or something. This is the middle of the day during the week. Everyone was at work and stuff, so there wasn't anyone else out there but me and her. And I hear hello come from the direction of these geese, and I turn around, and she goes, "You just said hello." I was like, I know, and I got it on video. And so I'm tripping out. I rewind. I'm looking at these geese, and I'm go to watch the video. I didn't realize that when it was recording in slow motion, there was no audio.
No.
And I'm like, you got to be shitting me.
Oh
And
no.
so the whole video that I have on my YouTube channel is after that. It had already said it once, and so it's me like questioning these geese, interrogating them, trying to get them to say something again.
Yeah.
And it finally did, and I didn't even catch it at the time. I had to go back and watch the video later, but yeah, I think that I sent you the short version of it. I think it was 21 seconds into the video. Right after I say,
Okay.
"What'd you just call me?" I say, "What'd you just call me?" And then like a couple seconds after that, you hear "hello" again. It sounds like a computerized voice, but it definitely came from the goose.
So I have to ask, what do you
I have
think?
no idea why or how, but
Okay,
it definitely.
that's what I had to ask. I'm like, do you think it was like? Do you think it might have been like aliens or I don't know? I know you don't
I don't
know.
know. It all comes back to that thing that changes its shape. I
Some
think it might have been
people
the
just
same
have
thing.
the
Just
ability to see things outside the box. I mean, and that's the reality of life. And I'm being
uh,
honest. I think
it's
I'm
all
one of
about
them
how
people.
it's all about how open you are, man. Because anyone can do what I do. On my website, the UfoMagnet.com, you can book me to take you out for private sky watches where I will show you these things. If you've never seen anything before, I will show you.
All right.
Whether you've seen a million of them or you haven't ever seen one at all, come out with me and you'll see something.
Okay, well, that brings us that part of the show where you got to tell us where people can get in touch with you, and you have anything to promote. Let's hear
Okay,
it.
yeah. My YouTube channel is the UFO Joey the UFO Magnet George. Same on Facebook. Uh, and then the UFOMagnet.com is my website where you can schedule appointments, or even if you just see something and you just want to talk about it. I even have my home cell phone number, on my Facebook page. I started a second Facebook page called Anomalous Anonymous,
Yeah,
and that's where people can go. Like maybe you've never seen anything before, and you just had this sighting that's
yeah, yeah,
messing you up in
yeah,
a little bit. See, a lot of people are afraid to say anything
yeah. I know.
once they, you know what I mean? Like especially if they've never had an experience like that, then they're afraid, deathly afraid to tell anyone because they don't want to be labeled crazy.
Yeah,
You know, just like you can call me crazy too if you want, but if I'm crazy, so is my camera, right?
yeah, yeah. 100%. I got you. I got you.
But yeah, I've actually prevented a couple possible suicides through this Facebook page because people go insane, literally not wanting to talk to anybody and being labeled crazy. So
I get it.
24 hours and whatever, if you got something paranormal going on and you don't understand it, or, I'll do my best to walk you through it,
Perfect.
I can't tell you what it is, but I can help you do it.
Well, you know what? Sometimes just an ear, somebody that's got a little bit of different perspective on things, somebody to talk to that has had experiences. Trust me, I know. I've had a lot of experiences, and that's why I'm doing what I do now, because I think it helps. And that's why I'm trying to get different stories out there. You've had experiences I haven't had. I've had experiences you haven't had. But
we're not nearly as crazy as we were 5 years ago.
Yeah.
5 years ago,
And
I
we're
had
not
to
crazy.
argue everything.
Yeah, we're not crazy, man.
It's getting a lot easier to talk about, and I'm glad to see that.
Yeah, no, I love it. Well, you know what? I'm sorry we got to shut it off right now because we try to keep it,
Right.
Under a minute. But man, I'd love to have you back on because I know you got other things to say. And
I got days and days worth.
yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank Joey, the UFO Magnet George, so much for joining us tonight on Cryptid Quest. And you know what, everybody out there, if you want to talk to us, if you want to talk to him, you go to his page, you come to my page. We're on Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube, The Cryptid Quest Podcast. And you get us on Gmail, The Cryptid Quest Podcast at gmail.com. Come talk to us, and you can ease your mind.
And the UfoMagnet.com.
And the UfoMagnet.com. All right. Thank you,
see me.
everybody, for joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joey. All right.
No problem. Thanks.
Whoa. 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 Holy shit. Wow. Oh my god.